Hey guys, Abba here again. This time, I think this is the round I will be playing today. I'm going to mulligan this hand no lands. They kept sun. Yeah. So this hand's a bit slow, but I think we need to keep. I'm going to put the plains on bottom. So if we have any artifacts, we are going to be able to play a quick thoughtcast. Otherwise, it's a turn of 3 thoughtcast, which isn't great. And if they are unborn, that's so much worse. Yeah. So this is an awful hand versus burn. Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm going to start with the zero of the sign node. Normally in game one doesn't really matter how much what land you play first. Let's see what happens now. We need a removal spell right now. I'm going to thoughtcast if we draw nothing. So we are practically dead now. Yep. I could have tracked the star, but doesn't really matter because we are not going to be able to deploy anything, so it's the same thing. Yep, this is super bad. If they have like bolts, we are dead practically. Most of their deck is bolts, so that's not a good sign. Good situation to be in. Okay, you can do it, my friend. I believe in you. We need to find a removal spell pretty soon. I'm going to play the Den in case we find the Journey. So we are at 8 now. So if you don't find a removal spell, we are pretty dead. That's not good. Not a good situation to be in. Okay. Yeah, I need to do this now. Problem is we aren't deploying anything either, so they already did a lot of damage with very few cards. So the alchemist did like 1, 2, 3 damage, so it's fine, but the problem is we needed to answer it, so we had to play a spell in order to answer it and tap mana for it. Otherwise we would have been able to just deploy a Skyfish or something. Let's see what we draw now. Another Fisher. So we can go for a Fisher, bounce them, then play it again, have another Fisher. We need to start applying pressure. I'm going to bounce the star now. Because bouncing 2 lands is super rough. If they have land and Searing Blaze, we are super in a bad shape, but nothing we can do. They didn't do anything last turn. I don't think what's happening. I don't understand what's happening now. Okay. What could they have in their hand? I'm not sure, honestly. So I think I need to evoke Drifter and try to find a removal spell right now. That's not a removal spell. So I mean, I'm not going to play around anything. I'm going to hit them for 4. Mostly because we don't have a choice. Next turn, if they didn't do anything, we can transmute for a Journey, which is kind of the awkward way of going through it, but nothing we can do. Luckily, we have a couple of good saber options. We have Blue Blast and the Low Missionaries. Land, so they may have the Searing Blaze, which is super bad. Now we go to 4, Pingus again. Probably have a couple of Fire Blasts because they didn't do anything with their mana the other turn, so that's what I expect. They shouldn't let us untap because we have the model. Okay, that's fine. Okay, yeah, game 1 is very bad. Nothing we can do. So let's bring in all this in and remove the Mold Drifters. They are so slow, it doesn't make any sense. I think we need the Journeys. Maybe we can remove 1 Ephemerate. Like a Muddle. We don't have time to transmute or keep mana open. I think I like 1 in order to turbo out the Atox. Here we want the Atox because it's good pressure. Another thing we could do is remove a land because we don't have the Mold Drifters anymore. But I think I don't want to mulligan a lot. So another option I was thinking of removal spells is instead of playing Lightning Bolt, playing Fog Bolt or Fire Ice. Those cards are more flexible and are better in some matchups, but Lightning Bolt is better against burn, so you want to have a way of killing a Thermal Alchemist on the early turns. Journey also works with that, but doesn't really work that well versus Fairies. It kind of works though, but it's not great because it's not an instant speed. Bolt is super good versus them. And Fire Ice is amazing. Here we have the Low Missionary. We can play like a turn 2 Thoughtcast, so we keep. Also, we are on the play, so we can keep a bit of a clunky hand. Let's just hope they don't have the Gorillas. We said we're correctly, right? Yeah, I think so. If we find a white source, we might be able to play the Skyfisher or the Missionary and the Thoughtcast, something like that. Okay, they don't have like an artifact destruction spell turn 1. Okay, so we can go for Missionary. And keep mana open. Or we can go for Skyfisher, bounce the Drum, play it again. I think we can wait on that. Yeah, I think it's fine. So here you play this, and in response to the trigger you float a mana. Bounce the Drum, play it again. So that way we don't go back in resources that way. We only have a tap creature, so if they go for a 2/2 haste, we can't block right now, but it's not the end of the world. Thermal Alchemist is good for them, but next turn we can go Thoughtcast into Missionary. I'm going to start with the Seed so we can play the Thoughtcast for 1 mana. Prophet Prism is fine. Need to go for Missionary and attack. We want to have the Ephemerides. Maybe I shouldn't have dropped 1 Ephemerate because the Low Missionaries, I forgot about those. So yeah, I should have 1 more Ephemerate instead of maybe a land. I think we could cut. Searing Blaze targeting the Missionary makes sense. Sadly, we don't have the Ephemerate now to kind of punish them. I just realized I could have played the low missionary turn 2 to bounce it with cautious Skyfisher, would have made a lot of sense, but I didn't though, so that's the past. So I can go Prophetic Prism into ATOG if nothing changes. I want to find removal spells, so or that. I think I'm still going to start with a Prism because we want to find a removal spell. Do I need to go for Missionary? They have a Thermal Alchemist in place, so I think I do. So gaining 4 is very good, we go to 21 again. So if we need to find a removal spell, and if we don't, at least finding some life gain is okay. I would prefer to have a bolt actually to just kill the Thermal Alchemist and be sure that we are fine. Because they can just kind of go off with needle drops and such. Yep. Because when needle drop is a cantrip that deals 2 damage, it's so rough. Because they have a limited amount of resources, and that's the way that they just kind of go over the top is with Thermal Alchemist, needle drops, just ways of generating a lot of damage for one card. Forgotten Cave. Marauders is super rough. We want to find an ephemerate so we can block an ephemerate. We can block with the ATOG, but we need to sack an artifact for it, which is not great. Okay, they play the land, that's kind of weird. Normally they save the lands for Searing Blade, so maybe they have another land. Riftbolt, okay. Let's see what we find here. Galvanic Blast, eh? So I want to go... We have 5 mana, so I'm going to start with Prism. Then have 3 mana, play ATOG, and play Blast. Yeah. I like that. Start like this, tapping correctly. Blue Blast, it's awesome. Do I need to play the Galvanic Blast here? I don't want to Blue Blast this. And if I don't play ATOG, yeah, I think I need to play ATOG. And I need to tap something for the blast, the Galvanic Blast. I think I'm going to tap the Missionary, so we already have one blocker in the ATOG. We need to attack in this match, we can't just sit and do nothing. When we block, we are going to sack a Prophetic Prism because 1 is already okay, it's already good enough. We have Metalcraft. Yeah. So they hit us for 1 more, we go to 16, then 1 more in their turn when they attack with Kelden. So we should be fine as long as they don't play a Gorilla Shaman or something. Even if they do, we have a couple of things to do with that. So. Oh, they have a Riftbolt too, I forgot about it. So Rift could go to the ATOG, and if they do, we can sack a Prophet Prism and a Seed of the Synod. That will be 6 damage. Maybe we need to sacrifice another more. They play a bit slow, which is very annoying because they are playing a very fast deck, so we could be finishing this in like 2 minutes if they play faster, but whatever. Let's see what they target now. Our face. Okay. That's a bit weird, given that they have only 2 cards in hand. If you're playing Burn, normally you want to be sure that you can kill your opponent eventually. But bolting there, I don't think it's correct. I would have gone to the ATOG so you can kind of kill several things. Because if I block and if they go for bolt here, I have to sack 1. And then if I want to block, I need to sack 2. Like this, I only need to sack 1, which is kind of free. They could have something, but yeah. I can also just let this ATOG die. I think sacrificing 1 prism is okay. We don't care about it. So if they bolt our ATOG, we need to sacrifice 2 artifacts. We can just let it die. Because if we sacrifice 2 artifacts, then the ATOG is only a 1-2. And we have another one in hand, of course. So they deal 1 damage to us. Nothing. Awesome. So let's see what we draw now. Focus is great. I think we have this. So we can go for ATOG, hold Blue Blast. Maybe I prefer to play the Skyfisher for the Lone Missionary. I didn't do the math, I should have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. Yeah, I had enough to kill them. I punted really hard. If you don't know about me, I'm a very controlling player. I like to break control. So I think of a way of not dying and not a way of killing the opponent most of the time. Yeah, here I can bounce the missionary and play it next turn. So I didn't attack with ATOG because I needed it to generate mana when the spring is ramp, but I forgot about the Skyfisher, so that was another bounce, actually. So we are giving them a chance, thanks to our stupidity. So we have Blue Blast if they point any burn at us. I don't know what they could have in hand. They didn't do anything last turn cycle. Nothing. Okay. Yeah. So we need the Ephemerate, and I think we cut like a Cave of Temptation. Let me look at the deck. Yeah, I think I prefer the Threvens because the Threvens work well with the Spring Drum, the Fishers. Yeah. Normally I don't like to cut lands post-board, but we are removing 4 or 5 drops, so I think it's correct. It's important to not cut the artifact lands because they are very important for the deck. And I think I prefer the Ash Barrens before the Cave of Temptation, so it's so much better than fixing our mana in... Okay, this hand is poop. But to be fair, if this was another a Cave of Temptation, would have been still a mulligan. So this is bad. We can go for turn 1 Ancient Den. We need to find another land, basically. We have Blue Blast to not die. I'm inclined to keep this, bottom the Ephemerate. So that's a bit greedy, maybe I'm wrong, but the hand has so much upside if we find a land. Additionally, other cards that are good are Blue Blasts and Travens. Let's see what we find. Core Skyfisher is not great. Next turn we can leave up the Blue Blast. What we hope to see is them casting a Thermal Alchemy so we can blast it on our turn. That's not what I wanted. Needle Drop. Okay. Land. Come on. Yeah. Awesome. This costs 2, right? So there are 2 options. I can go for Thoughtcast, drawing 3 cards, trying to find a land that way, or fixing. Going Core Skyfisher, bouncing the Chromatic Star, or going Core Skyfisher, bouncing the Den. Or leaving mana up. Or going Atok. Atok is super bad because we don't have anything to sacrifice. If we go for Thoughtcast, I don't think we can die next turn, so I think I'm going to go for Thoughtcast. It's a bit of a greedy line, but... What happened? What? Oh, okay. Oh no, it was a bit weird. Yeah, so we draw a land and another land, we are fine now. Next turn we can go for Ato. It's actually not that great because we don't have blue for Blue Blast or Thoughtcast. Marauders is kind of rough. We can play Ato and blow up one of our Ancient Dens to block. Skewer. So we are at 12, we are going to go to 11. Journey. This is when it leaves now, right? So I don't really want to go with Journey. I think I prefer to go for Atog. Pass. Next turn we can go for Core Skyfisher, Atog, or Journey to Nowhere, Atog. Well, probably we won't because we will have one less land, so we're going to have 3 in total, so maybe just one of those things. The second Atog normally isn't good, so first block, then sacrifice. So we are in a rough shape here, we need to just not die, that's important. I didn't thought about the consideration of not sacrificing and just blocking. So we could have 4 lands in total next turn. That might be an option. So I think they have a bolt and they are considering bolting the Atog. I think I need to let that resolve if that happens. Yeah, for them, the Keldon is already blocked, so yeah, already did its job, I think. Just 2 damage and blow up a land is fine enough. But we can't let it just deal 5 damage to acid. That's too much. Blue is very good. We can go for ATOG, leave Blue Blast. Next turn we can go for Thoughtcast for 1. That smile. That damn smile. So they are doing nothing again. I don't know what's happening here. What cards could they have that they are so situational, right? So do I counter like a Syrian Blaze? I think a Syrian Blaze I do. They do nothing, that's great for us. Oof, yes, thank you. Let's go for that. So I can go for the Thoughtcast or the Blue Blast. Let me think about it. If I go for Blue Blast, I can counter like a Keldon. I already played a land this turn, so I think I'm going to pass actually. I can go for Thoughtcast next turn. They are not playing anything, that's super weird. I'm not sure what they have in hand. Lands? Okay, this I'm going to counter. So next turn we can go for Fisher Missionary. Nothing. Let's see what we draw. Land would be great. Blue Blast. Huh. I'm at 15, so I may just bounce it with Skyfisher and not replay it yet. Just leave the blast up. So Lone Missionary is so important in aggro matchups because you can flicker and bounce it. And also because versus Stompy, for example, this can trade with anything. So we go for Bolt there. I can try and counter that. This represents so much life gain that it's worth it. We Bolt that again. So that's no problem on that. We can bounce a C-Note. Replay it. Play the Thoughtcast. Play the Chromatic Star now. So now we have 5 artifacts, so that's 10. 10 plus 4 is lethal, so we have lethal on board. If they don't do anything weird. Okay. We still have lethal on board. Land, just in case. Sacrifice this. Blue Blast is great, so this is now, I think, not 100% sure it's lethal, but almost. So now we can go like this. Now we have enough. Yeah, GG's. Okay, so that was this run. It was a clean 3-0. Well, we drop again versus Burn, but that's something that happens on the draw. So yeah, this deck is pretty good. I'm actually very happy with this. I think the deck has legs. I don't know why people aren't exploring with this. There's of course room for improvement. Let's see. Let's do a bit of closing thingy. So this deck has several things going for it. First off, it has great mana for doing some shenanigans with Skyfishers and Moodrifters and Atogs and Galvanic Blast, so you kind of can get away with that. We don't play any taplands, so that's the good thing. The cost that we are paying though is paying cards like Chromatic Sun and Prophet Prism, but those cards really help us with the Atog and Metagraph plan, so it kind of works both ways. Splendid Thrum is amazing in this deck because you need quantity of mana, right? So you need to play cards, you need to hit your land drops. So another thing that you could do is play like more cantrips, but we are reaching a point where we look at this and see so many things that we could add to the deck and we don't have enough space for it. So what would you take here? What do you take out? You can't really take out much stuff. There isn't a lot of free room here. I think that you could cut is the mold mixture, but then your combo is a bit hindered. You can remove a couple of removal spells, but then you are very soft to aggro and other decks, and you're not a very fast deck as Timur Affinity. So you need to have the removal for it, for the aggro matchups. Ephemerate is so good in this deck that you wouldn't take out one, and Travin Inspector is probably the best card in the deck because it's so synergistic with everything. Moodrifter is the one that I'm thinking that maybe you don't need 4, but it's Moodrifter. Look at his face. Look at it. Just, it's amazing. You can't cut this, right? Lastly, on the sideboard and on the main, I want some way of recurring threats for the very grindy matchups, for example, Boros Monarch. So a card I would put is, for example, Mortuary Mire. Maybe as an additional land, instead of replacing one of the actual lands that they are in the deck, because we want to make our land drops, so it's kind of a compromise. This would be a top land, but it has this effect that we really want, that it's rebuying, for example, a Moldrifter or Atoll, something like that. Another thing that you could do is play Archaeomancer. Archaeomancer maybe in the main or maybe in the sideboard as additional ways of just going off with Ephemerate. But the problem is that if you go in that route, then you want to add, like, for example, a counter spell that is less, how do you say this? Less narrow, that is more wide counter magic. But Archaeomancer recurring a Galvanic Blast each turn, for example, would be amazing. Or even getting back a Mold Mixture to transmute for an Aether. But we are talking so very late game potential that we don't want this card in this deck, I think. I will have one in the sideboard if there is a lot of grindy matchups. For example, instead of the 4th, maybe Pyroblast, I will have the 1st Archaeomancer, something like that. But I think I like this configuration in the sideboard. Electric is for fairies, so if there is less fairies in your meta, maybe you can drop this and play like a Gorilla Shaman, Archaeomancer, or something like that. Yeah. So I really enjoy this deck. I think there is a lot of room for improvement. Still, I think there is a better configuration for this deck, but I'm not sure how to do that. So if you have any by chance you have any things to say about this deck, just or any questions about it, just ask away. I'm very happy to answer any questions. So thank you so much for watching and see you next time.